As you guys know, we are always trying to expand our world here at Coach and Company. We're always trying to bring in the absolute very best that we can find. Sometimes it takes longer than others to get them signed and in the door. But when we do, we make a splash. So, ladies and gentlemen, for the first time ever here at Coach and Company, I would like to introduce to you a little something that we are going to call baby bets.
Stars have their own music. I told you I was coming. So don't look like you're so surprised that the number one baby capper in America is here. And my only play today, Indiana Pacers for the series, plus 149, and we will get it done in New York City. I'm coming for everybody, especially young Peyton. You heard me. Back to you.
What was that? And Mikey, baby coach on day one, is throwing shade at you with the Boston hat? What?
You know what? Baby coach bet against the Knicks. He's probably the smartest baby I've ever met.
DG, I think baby coach may instantly be my new favorite capper.
He's an angry elf is what he is.
I'm just wondering if there are other cappers out there, Raphael, that potentially we can go after to bring them in to our world. What do you think?
Oh, I think there's tons of them. Probably someone's maybe some underdogs at the same time.
Wow. Do you think they're – now you got me thinking. Right now, producer man scrambling behind the scenes. Underdogs. What can we do with underdogs? All right. So our very first play from Baby Bets is the Pacers plus 149. But Raphael, I know that was given last night before his very early bedtime. And the numbers have moved throughout the morning, correct?
Yeah, not as much. A lot of movement in the Western Conference because the series is finally open and prices have been going. But I think this one's pretty much going to be stagnant. I mean, it opened up at minus 165 New York. Some shops have minus 155. BetMGM has minus 155. I think dog money will come in on this series because everyone thinks OKC is going to roll over the Timberwolves. So one side dog money, Eastern Conference. I think OKC would take a lot of Western Conference.
All right, well, let's focus quickly on the Eastern Conference here, DG. You're already shaking your head at something that he said. What do you disagree with?
Yeah, I disagree on the Western Conference stuff with OKC. I don't think they roll over the Timberwolves, but I do love the baby bet there because I'm going to roll with my Pacers as well and taking down the king, the Mecca, the New York Knicks. And so I love that look. I'd have some looks at some player props and some players that I like in this matchup, but overall, I think that the Pacers can play the style that they play and win this series.
For the Pacers and Knicks, Mikey, will be on Wednesday in New York City. And the one thing that I struggle with is watching the Knicks celebrate the way that they did. And if you just watch that scenario when they blew out the Celtics on Friday night, and you said, hey, what are they celebrating? You would say the NBA Finals, an NBA championship. They acted like it was all over, and it was the second round. Are the Knicks too far ahead of themselves right now?
Way too far ahead of themselves. They're the older brother who finally didn't get in trouble for once. It was embarrassing, if I can just say, for the Knicks to celebrate the way that they did while defeating the Boston Celtics. But more so than anything, I'm looking at both sides, the East and the Western Conference Finals, and I'm focusing on the two teams with players who don't care. Tyrese Halliburton, labeled the most overrated player in the NBA. Not from what we've seen. He doesn't care. Anthony Edwards, legend killer. He doesn't care. All the money's going on OKC. That's fine. I like the guys who don't care. They have nothing to lose. So I'm rolling with the Pacers, and I also like the Minnesota Timberwolves as well.
Part of the reason that baby coach, I think, went with the Pacers for the series price, DG, is that when you watch their first two series and you just say, who's the better team? Just who's the better team? It has not been close in the first two series. I think we're discounting how good they were after the trade deadline because nobody focused on them because we were all focused on the Warriors and the Lakers and who's going to make it in. And very quietly, the Pacers were hammering everybody. Why aren't the books adjusting for that?
Well, it's more of the small market, and I know Indy's not a small city, but realistically, like it is much smaller than New York, and so I think you're looking at the smaller market overall. But really, it's like you have the big names more there in New York with Brunson and Towns, and you also have Bridges and Anunoby. There's a lot of good players that they have, and then it's more of the team effort. It's not Halliburton. Halliburton has struggled at times, and he's been great at times, but he's not a guy that's going to win you games. It's going to be more of the team style of their game. I like the more up and down because of the way the Pacers play. But honestly, I think that how they're coached, Rick Carlisle is I think the key X factor in this. I think Rick Carlisle is a much better coach than Tom Thibodeau.
We still have 2 days before game one, but right now, Mikey, in game one at BetMGM, -4.5, the Knicks, -105, the total at 223.5. Either number that you would look at early, Mikey.
I would say the total. I would definitely take the over on that one. Both these teams, not as much as maybe the Boston Celtics like to shoot the 3-point ball. Really like them. Especially if Indiana's going to have a chance, they're going to have to score at least 110 to 115, and I think we can hit that over on the total points between these two teams.
DG, what about you?
Yeah, I'm the same way. I like the over on the game. I do think that we could look at possibly the Pacers grabbing the points here because the Knicks coming off of a big win in a big series. I think grabbing the points with the Pacers would be a good look. But going over on the total, I would look at potentially the Knicks team total. That way, if you want to cover yourself, because I do believe in the Pacers, but not everybody does, I would look at the Knicks team total. And if it's 115 or higher, just be careful. But I think anything around 115, I do like that for the Knicks.
All right, I do too. So Eastern Conference Finals, they're going to be on TNT. The Western Conference Finals are going to be on ESPN, and that series starts Tuesday night. So tomorrow night with the Timberwolves traveling to Oklahoma City. Mikey, let me bring it back to you because the Thunder, if you're looking at a Game 7 and you're saying, listen, what's the best case scenario for me not to be exhausted, for me not to not be ready for Game 1 of my next series? It's blowing out a team where your starters basically could have come out at any point in the fourth quarter. SGA goes for 35 and punctuates his MVP season. But now the Thunder are laying 7.5 in game one, the total 215.5 as well. Do you worry, at least in game one, about that emotional factor, Mikey?
The emotional factor, yes. The fatigue factor as well, because who's been sitting on his couch waiting? Who's been in the gym training? It's Anthony Edwards. I will pound the table for this guy for the rest of the playoffs. And when we look back at what the Minnesota Timberwolves did against the Golden State Warriors, who knew Julius Randle was the next coming of Steph Curry from behind the arc? I mean, I'm all in on the Timberwolves. I think this is going to be a drag-out fight in this series. But game one, looking at the lines, looking at the +7, I think the Timberwolves may not even just cover that. I think they take game one.
The scenario that the Minnesota Timberwolves, DG, have been given, they could not have, on Christmas morning, opened up two better presents. You have an out-of-shape Luka, and the Lakers, who are severely overrated, beat them rather easily, I might add. And then you get Golden State, and Steph Curry goes down at the beginning of the series with a hamstring, and that series was never in doubt. Is this the basketball gods maybe saying, hey, maybe this is just the T-Wolves' time?
Yeah, I think you could go there, and I think you got to look at more of the veteran leadership is with the Timberwolves, but I don't think it's a veteran-laden squad just overall, and I think that's going to be to the benefit of the Thunder. I like Minnesota. I think that they are a sneaky good team, but I still think that OKC can win game one because they are the team that's going to be more up and down, the run gun team, and I think that their defense is going to be the main factor. Guys I like in this, it's going to be the ancillary pieces. It's not Anthony Edwards. It's not going to be Julius Randle. I like Nickeil Alexander-Walker, but also Jaden McDaniels. Like those two, they're going to be guarding and being put on SGA. but also they're scoring. Can they get to the front of the rim on this type defense of the Thunder being the ancillary piece? I think that's going to be the key in this entire series.
And right now, Jaden McDaniels, we're at BetMGM. His number is 12.5. Pretty juicy, though, minus 135 for him. But real quick, you got 30 seconds, Mikey. Give me a player that you've got outside of Ant that you got your eyes on that could have a big series for people to really dig into.
The guy who was kind of on a seesaw throughout the last series and in the first series, Rudy Gobert. I mean, if you look at what the Thunder did throughout their series against the Denver Nuggets, Isaiah Hartenstein, Jalen Williams, Chet Holmgren, these guys had energy. They were crashing the boards. Good luck doing that against Rudy Gobert. So I like Gobert throughout this series, especially on his rebound numbers. Give me Rudy Gobert to be the biggest X factor in this series.
Every single day, because it teeter-totters from day to day to day. We'll have a full breakdown of the conference finals right here on Coach and Company, and also on Coach and Company, the podcast that we record live every single day on social media. We'll dig more into that coming up today around 11:15 a.m. Eastern Time. Still plenty more to come. This is Coach and Company. As always, we're live on the Stadium Network. So there was an interesting conversation yesterday, and first I was like, man, this is really a dumb conversation. And then maybe it's not. DG, they were talking about how should the MVP of the NBA be waited to, or for people to wait to vote on it until the entire season is over, like NBA Finals, and then awarded in July. Right now, it's a regular season award. How would you feel about that?
I wouldn't like it. And I know the reason that people will point out and say, hey, because these are the one games that actually matter. But realistically, it's a regular season award. I think it should be given during the regular season or after the regular season and all be counted on the regular season. I don't worry about the playoffs. There's a playoffs MVP at the very end with the finals. And so I don't worry about adding the playoffs into the MVP discussion.
But I wish they would announce it right when the season's over then, because like with the Heisman, there's always controversy on when people vote, what they're voting, what they watch. So Mikey, to me, if it's a regular season award, then give it to me the day after the regular season is over.
I completely agree. And I'll look back at last year as an example. You wouldn't put Jaylen Brown in the MVP conversation throughout the regular season for what the Boston Celtics did last year. But then he's the reason they captured banner number 18 because of his play over his superstar teammate. And I'm with both of you guys. If you're going to do the regular season MVP, we can't be doing it in July when you have thresholds of how many games need to be played and all of that. Let's announce it right after the regular season.
It's interesting, too. This year, a lot of people, DG, lost their Defensive Player of the Year tickets because of those thresholds that are now in place. But I kind of like him now that betting is such a big deal on futures.
Yeah, it's tough. And futures are so tough as it is because you're putting money in there and just hoping and praying that eventually you see a return. But I do like that with betting. The 65 games has been huge. But also now we see that on the other end, some guys aren't making it to the 65. So if you bet on that, are they going to refund your money or are they going to take your money because they didn't win? There's a lot of things you got to look at.
They're taking it. Yep. The sportsbooks love this. They love this. Are you kidding me? All the favorites, all like Wemby, everybody had Wemby. All right, we're back live in 5 seconds. All right, welcome back. Me and the guys today having a great day. Also, if you missed it about 15 minutes ago, our very first baby bet here live on the show. We'll be posting that on social media as well. Do not forget, later today at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, it's the Coach and Bro Show. Me and Vince Russo. We also debut on the Stadium Network 1 week from Wednesday. We'll have 2 shows on the Stadium Network. Let's go.